to Warhammer 40k lore in the Bible, where I take Warhammer 40k lore to help explain biblical lore. And today we're going to be talking about the close combat weapons of the Imperium. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to start with the biblical lore, and usually I start with the Warhammer 40k lore. But we're going to go over all the weapons, or the close combat weapons of the Imperium. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start in the book of Enoch, chapter 8. Verse 1. And Azazel taught men to make swords, and knives, and shields, and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth, and the art of working them, and bracelets, and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. So, this guy would be considered like the god of war, right? And, of course, makeup, I guess, huh? But anyways. So now we're going to get into, with Israel, what Israel was dealing, going up against. And what God was going up against, right? In the Bible there. So Jeremiah 51:20. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee I will break in pieces the nations, and with thee with thee will I destroy the kingdoms. So now if you remember what the destroyer, I brought it up in the Abaddon video that I did, right? That's what he is, the Assyrian. He's the destroyer. Because that's what he wills, is destruction, right? This is who God is talking about here. And if you remember, he has all the nations under his wing, right? So, Jeremiah 51:25. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, which destroyest all the earth. And I will stretch out my hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. So he's talking about the Assyrian here. And this is why he set up the old conquest of, Israel and stuff like that. So, now we're going to move on to the Warhammer 40k lore. The weapons of the Imperium. This article contains a large but non-exhaustive list of the various types of weaponry used by the Imperium in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. The various weapons, grouped according to their category, are discussed in detail, including their standard specifications. With the evolution of the Warhammer 40,000 setting over several decades, many different kinds of weapons and equipment have been described, and some of these are no longer in use by the armed forces of the Imperium. Whenever appropriate, the history of the weapon is described, including some of the more notable units or individuals that are known to use that weapon. The Imperium of Man is vast, galaxy-spanning interstellar human empire. There are many branches of the Imperium's armed forces and law enforcement agencies, and much of their equipment is common across multiple branches of the same service. The armed forces of the Imperium include, but are not limited to, the Space Marines, the Imperial Guard, the Adeptus Mechanicus, and 3 orders of the Inquisition, the Adeptus Arbitus, and the orders militant of the Adepta Sororitas. Alright, so now we're going to get in to close combat weapons. So we got two-handed weapons. Okay. Some of the Imperial troops have the option of wielding weapons that require 2 hands to use effectively, such as the Eviscerator. These weapons have the advantage of increasing the effective damage the wielder can bring to bear on a foe, but come with their own disadvantages, such as rapid overheating and normally slowing the user in combat. Okay, so the Catan, the Catan phase sword, used exclusively by Imperial Calidus assassins, and the Catan phase sword is an extremely potent short-range weapon. It is said to phase in and out of real space, and is capable of bypassing armor and force fields alike. The weapon itself has an inherent connection to the ancient star gods of the Necrons, the Catan. Since the technology for its creation was discovered within ancient Necron ruins deep beneath the surface of Mars by the tech priests of the cult Mechanicus, many centuries before the Mechanicus became part of the Imperium of Man. A Calidus assassin once stabbed one of the disguised Catan shards with her Catan phase blade. Instead of being injured by the weapon, the Catan simply absorbed it back into its own necrodermis body. Nice. That's mine, thank you. So, Frostblade. A Frostblade, or a Frost Axe, is a specialized melee weapon used by characters in the Space Wolves chapter of Space Marines. The weapon itself is similar in look to a standard sword or axe, and can come in a chainsword version, except that the blade includes teeth taken from a creature called a kraken, one of the monstrous aquatic species that inhabit the Space Wolves' frozen homeworld of Fenris, and contains a power field generator similar to the use by the power weapons. Chain weapons, or a chain weapon, is a weapon that has motorized biting teeth that saw and slash through a prospective victim in a similar fashion to a chainsaw. The teeth themselves are fashioned to be incredibly sharp, in some cases carrying a monomolecular edge. Some chain weapons are capable of slicing through bulkheads and thick armor. Behind variations of the chain weapon are used all over the galaxy. Chain weapons require regular maintenance and can become jammed if foreign matter is drawn into their complex working mechanisms. Weapons include a clutch that can reverse the weapon teeth rotation to expel such matter in such an instance. So we got the chain fist. Space Marine Terminators often replace their standard power fist with the chain fist for use against enemy armored vehicles and static defenses. The chain fist is a combination of a power fist and a chain sword, which usually protrudes from the back of the hand, just above the knuckles. This weapon is capable of cutting through even the toughest of armor plating, and provides additional armor penetration capability against vehicles and bunkers. Through they have little utility against lightly armored and more mobile enemy infantry. Chain fists are so massive, encumbering, and energy inefficient that they are normally only ever seen on Space Marines equipped with Terminator armor. However, there are smaller versions in existence that can be used by unaugmented humans. Chain sword. The most common form of the chain weapon is the chain sword, frequently carried by assault troops and low-ranking officers of the Imperial Guard and Space Marines, including the Traitor Legions. Another common variant is the chain axe, which usually carried by a melee specialist Chaos Space Marines, normally of the World Eater's Traitor Legion, who are known as Cornate Berserkers. Orcs employ various chain weapons as well, usually axes or wide-bladed swords. The Eviscerator is a larger version of the chainsword and is usually seen in the hands of religious fanatics such as the Penitent Sisters of Battle, or the zealous and fiery redemptionists of the Fraterus Militia. It is also used by the ecclesiarchy, priests who serve the Imperial Guard, the The eviscerators closely resemble conventional chainsaws, but being large two-handed weapons, they are generally powerful enough to have similar effects to the chain fists frequently seen carried by the Astartes Terminators. Other chain weapons. Chain weapons are not just limited to the sword and axe forms. Existing in the galaxy are such weapons as chain glaives and a multitude of other melee weapons that have had their original blades removed and replaced by a powered chain blade. The hunting lance, used exclusively by the Rough Rider mounted cavalry units of the Imperial Guard. This weapon is constructed of a hollow, lightweight metal shaft tipped with a spear point, which is also connected to the impact fuse of the weapon's shaped charge. Okay, this small explosive charge is constructed to direct the blast and fragmentation effect towards the target and away from the user. Once detonated, the user is left with only the shaft, which is then discarded. In close quarters combat against densely packed enemy formations or in a close confines, the lance is very unwieldy, and all Rough Riders carry at least one backup weapon. It also ignores the protective effects of most forms of armor, in similar fashion to power weapons. Power weapons, by comparison to normal weapons, utilize forced energy fields to increase the deadliness of the weapon. The weapon uses a generator, either in its hilt or an external backpack, to sheathe its striking surfaces in a disruptive energy field, allowing it to cut through most known forms of matter, such as a weapon can carve through armor and stone with as much resistance as empty air. Typically, only other energy fields can safely counter the effects of a power weapon. Power weapon technology is limited, and all examples are crafted individually by skilled artisans, commonly in the form of a sword, axe, or hammer, but sometimes in a more exotic form, such as a whip. Even without the power field active, the weapon will be of highest quality and potent in the hands of a skilled fighter. The rarest of power weapons consist of only of the weapon hilt, and when activated, an energy blade is projected, but it is unknown whether or not it can reflect energy weapons like lasers. An example of such a weapon was a sword wielded by Inquisitor Gregor Eisenhorn. This weapon was subsequently destroyed by the demon Cherubel, or Cherubiel, one of the two. I couldn't figure that one out, but anyways. Glaive and Carmine. A glaive and carmine is a two-handed master-crafted power weapon. Now, I'm not sure on this one, guys. Hopefully I said that right. Okay, is a two-handed master-crafted power weapon used exclusively by the Sanguinary Guard units of the Blood Angel Space Marines and their successor chapters. These formidable weapons are used in conjunction with their wrist-mounted Angulus bolters. A glaive and carmine, one of the two. I'm sure it's carmine. A glaive and carmine crackles with energy, allowing its master to cleave his foes easily in twain with a terrifying power. These weapons have been traditionally wielded by the esteemed member of the Sanguinary Guard for the last 10 standard millennia. The mysterious entity known as the Sanguinor, is also known to wield a glaive and carmine in battle. Lightning Claw is a specialized type of power weapon based on the design of the Powerfist. A lightning claw consists of a powered gauntlet fitted with 3 or 4 blades, a matter-disrupting energy field is projected around the blades, allowing them to cut through armor and flesh with minimal effort. Lightning claws are almost invariably worn as a pair and are mainly used by the assault terminators or space marine veterans. Nero gauntlets is a type of power weapon used only by the assassins of the Eviscer Temple. It is a glove that consists of many needles encased in energy fields, bypassing any armor. The gauntlet's energy fields directly affect the nervous system of the target, meaning the assassin can wound any organic individual, regardless of their size or toughness. It also has a limited effect on vehicles. The Neuro Gauntlet has the same effect on a target as the Dark Elder's Agonizer weapons, which, along with references to the development of the device from the alien weaponry, suggests that the Imperial Neuro Gauntlet is the result of a reverse engineering of captured Xenos artifacts, or at least was developed following the study of illegal Xenos technology. I was gonna say, isn't that illegal? Anyways, Power Fist, essentially an oversized armored gauntlet. The Power Fist not only generates an energy field around it that disrupts any matter it touches, but also enhances the user's strength. The Power Fist provides its user with the capability to completely pulverize enemy infantry and even threaten enemy armored vehicles and monstrously sized creatures. It is thus a popular weapon of choice within the Imperium when it is available. However, the weapon is cumbersome to use and slows the user down, so that the opponent will usually have the chance to strike out at the user before the Power Fist can land its first blow. The Power Maw is a club surrounded in a gravitic energy field often used by ranking members of the Adeptus Arbitus. They may include additional features such as power setting controls to vary the force of the impact. Unlike a shock maul, which only releases a charge on impact, a power maul has a consistent energy field like any other power weapons. The power swords are often most ubiquitous form of the Imperial power weapon and are in use by all the armed forces of the Imperium. They are routinely wielded by ranking space marines, officers in the Imperial Guard, senior sisters of the Adeptus Sororitas, and the members of the Inquisition. Some Imperial armories hold ancient swords of such high quality they strike as potently as a power sword through they possess no energy field emitters, or though they possess no energy field emitters. Another version of the power sword is a two-handed type called a relic blade. It increases the damage wrought by its wielder, but no additional weapons can be used alongside it. The Crozius Arcanum is a mace or staff that is used as both a melee weapon and a primary badge of office of Space Marine chaplains. This duality of purpose presents no philosophical conundrum for the chaplains, as for them, battle itself represents the most valuable form of worship of the Emperor of mankind. It is normally shaped in the form of either a staff or a mace topped by the double-headed Aquila of the Imperium, or a winged skull that represents the Emperor's sacrifice. Excuse me, sorry guys. The Thunderhammer is a large warhammer that incorporates a power field generator, which instead of being active consistently, as in the case of other power weapons, builds up an immense charge which is then released in an instant upon impact with the target. The name comes from the thunderclap-like noise the weapon makes when striking. The force released is enough to knock over the wielder himself, unless he is heavily armored. It is commonly used by the assault terminators in conjunction with the storm shield in the other hand. A thunderhammer is every bit as lethal as a power fist, but also has the ability to stun and disorient monstrous creatures in the crews of vehicles that are not destroyed outright. Originally, thunderhammers were only able to be mounted into Space Marine Terminator armor. It is a testament to Imperial engineering that these weapons are now man-portable and find much usage among Ordo Malleus Inquisitors, who also have an enhanced, specially consecrated version of it called a Demon Hammer. The Dreadnought melee weapons. Some of the most powerful close combat weapons in the Imperium are the huge melee weapons used by the cybernetic dreadnoughts of the Astartes. They are more effective than an equivalent infantry power fist, since the dreadnoughts are encumbered by the close combat weapon's weight. They are thus able to strike quickly. Represented in-game by dreadnoughts striking in their initiative order. Dreadnought close combat weapons are usually found on Space Marine dreadnoughts. The Space Wolves' venerable dreadnought, Beorn the Fell-handed, has a lightning claw in its dreadnought melee weapon. I apologize, guys. I need to figure out a way to get a bigger screen going. So, force weapons are close combat weapons designed to channel the psychic energies of the wielder, thus energizing the weapon and augmented its potency above the beyond of that even power weapons. They are used primarily by Imperial Psychers, such as Space Marine Librarians, Grey Knights, and Imperial Inquisitors, but they can also be used by some of the more powerful Chaos Sorcerers. Force weapons vary in design, but usually take the form of a bladed weapon, most commonly a sword. Force staves are also common amongst Psychers in the Imperial Guard, and is also the weapon of choice of Tigurius, Chief Librarian of the Ultramarines. The Grey Knights, the elite demon-hunting Space Marines of the Ordo Malleus, are powerful Psychers in their own right, and use force weapons exclusively. The weapons of the Grey Knights are known as Nemesis Force weapons. Force weapons are each unique in their own right, as each is specifically attuned to its owner, and thus cannot be effectively wielded by anyone with different psychic signature. Although there have been some exceptions to this, as a general rule, a force weapon will enhance the psychic power of the user to push the target into the warp. Shock weapons in the Shock Gauntlet. The Shock Gauntlet is a unique weapon that is designed to incapacitate Space Marines. When it comes in contact with the Astartes power armor, it creates a shock wave that causes the servos in the armor to malfunction, effectively paralyzing the victim. This is never used with both hands due to its non-lethality. The Shock Maul. A shock maul is a type of truncheon or club used by the riot teams in the Adeptus Arbitus. Upon contact, it activates an electrical charge to magnify the force of the blow. Many have power settings, with low power being used as a non-lethal stunning weapon, while high settings are quite capable of blowing off limbs. However, ranks within the Arbitus may make use of the power weapon version known as the Power Maul. Alright guys, that's the close quarters weapons, or the close combat weapons of the Imperium. So, thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a wonderful day.